Good day and welcome back to another DBZ Dokkan Battle video. In this video we are going to take on the Epic Collection of Battles event, and we're going to be using a Sworn Enemies team. So pretty straightforward. We're basically just going to take the Frieza as our friend lead. I am using the Tech Frieza as my lead. I have AGL LR Frieza, although I'm trying to show a team that doesn't use an AGL LR Frieza essentially. So we've gone with a Sworn Enemies slash Planet Namek Saga kind of hybrid team. Obviously, the main pairing will be the LR Frieza with the support Sworn Enemies Frieza, and then we're also going to be rocking the Majin Buu, well, the Kid Buu and the Supreme Kai Buff Buu in the other rotation. So that's going to be our number one go-to combination, and we'll just kind of see how things go from there. But yeah, this team will be fine. We do manage to clear everything. Obviously, any time you can use or you have an excuse to use the AGL Frieza, you're basically going to more than easily handle this event because Frieza just does so much damn damage. It's pretty nuts, actually. Last time, or my other videos, I chose Krillin and Gohan, so we will choose Piccolo here, just so we can obviously get a look at what Piccolo's like. Piccolo assimilates with Nail, so he's got two phases, whereas he's not two enemies like the other one. I've got level link 10 Kid Buu and Supreme Kai Buff Buu here. So we've got a nice combination. We've also got the support from the floating third form Frieza, which is pretty nice. Overall, this team ran pretty smoothly, was a lot faster than my full power team, and just ran a little bit smoother. Obviously having the new Frieza, well, the Easy Aid Frieza's 130% extreme class lead does help quite a bit, so that is very, very helpful. Of course, you know, that's just an additional kind of assistance. Really, this team functions because we have the AGL LR Frieza. He essentially is where all the big boy damage comes from. We're going to use his active skill here just to finish off Piccolo, get a nice finishing blow in, and then move directly on to the next phase rather than wasting our time collecting orbs and everything. I mean, we could have and possibly healed a little bit, but it's not really necessary. Frieza's active skill will heal up next game. Well, next stage, not next game. You can see there Piccolo assimilates with Nail. He comes back as a tech type, so that is something you just need to be a little bit wary for. But fortunately we have quite a surplus of int units, so we shouldn't have too many problems. We are going to miss our super attack there at the end, but overall we're not really suffering too many issues. The final form free-to-play Frieza will be super helpful in the Goku event. Super reliable unit there, and yeah, just everything else pretty much stock standard and smooth, really. Nothing too crazy going on here. Piccolo's not too tough. The Vegeta is next. He's also not necessarily the toughest. Goku's definitely where the step up begins. We're gonna have to be a little bit concerned about the int phase, because I don't know how Supreme Kai Buff Buu is gonna handle it, and we have to be a little bit concerned about the physical phase, because I don't know how Kid Buu is gonna handle that one. We also have the floating Sworn Enemies buff in the form of the third form Frieza, but he has no dupes in him, so I'm not entirely convinced about how he's gonna do either. So yeah, we'll just have to take a look and see really at how these guys are going to get along. But that being said, everything seems to be going nice and smoothly. Nothing too crazy here. This Frieza is stacking up some defense and attack, and he's doing a really rock solid job in terms of performance as well. So really nothing to complain about there, and he'll wrap everything up with a crit. So far so good. Really easy run so far. No items needing to be used. We probably will use items just to be safe. Always have to make sure that we're on the safe side of things. We've got the Kid Buu and Supreme Kai Buu rotation here. We also have this floating into Golden Frieza. He is a target Goku category buffer. It's not necessarily buffing every unit on our rotation, but he's generally quite helpful. He's going to be buffing the Tech Frieza, and so really just a helpful unit in general. But yeah, overall, team is running very smoothly. In terms of this event, I think definitely you should be building primarily for the Goku. The other fights don't necessarily carry as much difficulty as the Goku fight. They can be somewhat annoying, and type advantage is important, especially if you take a super attack, but they're not necessarily the hardest events around. So definitely be building for the Goku. That's the one that's going to be giving you problems. But we'll be more than fine here, even though we have some tech units. I'm not too concerned about the difficulty of the event. Once we get to Goku, we do have a whole bunch of units that gain buffs against him as well, which is somewhat helpful. So we should be able to finish off Vegeta here. He's not going to be too much of an issue for us. And then once he's done, we'll move on to Goku, where AGL Frieza is really going to shine, obviously dishing out all that beefy damage, so that's really going to help us out. And there we go, that's Vegeta done. And now on to the final fight against Goku. Remember, Goku has 5 stages. He starts as AGL, then goes to his physical Kaioken, then goes to his Tech, Spirit Bomb, Strength, Super Saiyan, and then finally Int Super Saiyan. So he's a little bit of a slog, a little bit of a grind there. We're not going to use an item. Obviously, we're just going to kind of let things play out. We really want the Sworn Enemies Frieza to get some attacks in early so that he can build up his defense. Fortunately, we only took a super attack against the Tech Buu, so we had type advantage and damage reduction playing a factor there. Tech Buu dishes out some really good damage, especially alongside this Buu. 3.5 and 4 million apiece. Very solid. Perks of level linking them to 10, and this is still going to allow third form Frieza to get the stacks on his defense that he needs. Remember, he gains 7% attack and defense per attack, and he gains it up to a total of 70%, so he really can raise his attack and defense quite a bit, as you saw there, 21%, plus he raises defense on super attack. So if he fires 2 super attacks like that, it's not only raising his defense in his passive, he is also raising his defense via super attack. So very helpful. Over here, we're just going to keep up the AGL Frieza and Tech Frieza combination. It's important to try and get the 18 key with the AGL Frieza as much as possible. That's really going to help him out in terms of his defensive stacking. Just depends on how long you anticipate the fight to go, but generally it's well considered to get Frieza's 18 key, but you can see he's just doing those crits and he's just chunking down Goku really fast. It's just one of those things, and his attack is going to skyrocket because he's getting so many 12 keys, so he's just going to incinerate Goku. Whenever it's his turn, you're going to see Goku's health just rapidly demolish. So here, obviously, we have the Int Kid Buu, who could possibly take quite a large bit of damage. So we do need to be aware of that. We do also have the final form Frieza, but he has guards against all types, against Goku family enemies, which does obviously help quite a bit. And we do have our Dokkan attack, so I do believe we will survive any super attacks that are fired at the Int Kid Buu. Between them, they should do decent damage, and then we should be able to wrap things up with the Frieza. The sooner you get through the physical phase, the better it is for your fight overall, if you are hosting Int units on your team. it really can be quite a bloody schlep, this stage. So make sure that you get through it as quickly as possible. And try and just be protective of where these int units are. You can see there it's going to take 45k. Huge amount of damage. There we go, 383. And we're very fortunate that Frieza is going to guard against all types and has damage reduction once his guard is active. So very, very close call there. Obviously the worst case scenario, but we are going to get a heal back from Frieza from the Dokkan attack. So we are more than fine. Perfectly calculated decision. But yeah, it's one of those things. You just need to be careful of, you know, how much damage Frieza is going to do. Well, sorry, how much damage Goku is going to do, especially against int enemies. It's just not advisable that you take on int enemies too long. I mean, tech enemies, physical Goku too long with int type units. He will do quite a large portion of damage. So just be aware of that. He can rock your world, basically. After this, things get a little bit better for us. We jump to a tech and a strength type, where we don't host too many issues. We only have one AGL unit, and that's Frieza, who's going to be doing substantial damage and has relatively high defense. And then, of course, we have no real physical type units to speak of. So we have no weaknesses against the strength Goku, so we should be more than fine. We do have Kid Buu here as well for added damage, and quite a few int types, so we should be able to chunk through the tech Goku relatively quickly. So it's just going to be realistically about managing the attack load, placing your units in places hopefully where they don't take too many attacks, because the Goku's hit quite hard. They don't hit Omega hard, but they do hit decently hard, so just need to be careful about taking those type disadvantage supers and things like that. They can really give you a headache, so just be aware of where you're placing your units and what kind of units you're taking, whether that unit's going to stack or have damage reduction to a point where it can survive or at least not get you killed, so that you can heal up from either your units next turn or super attacks or whatever you need. So yeah, just one of those things that you're going to need to be aware of. But yeah, almost finished with the tech Goku there. We haven't managed to stack too much with the tech Frieza. Obviously just something that we do need to be careful of. We need him to stack in some kind of way. It will increase his defense quite dramatically. But to be honest with you, his defense should be okay, even if he's not stacking too much, because we're going to be doing so much damage with this Frieza that it's not really going to matter too much. So yeah, it's just dependent, but he is a tech type, so he is vulnerable to Goku. So is our Supreme Kai buff Buu as well. So, but yeah, overall, relatively straightforward in terms of performance. We just need to be aware of where we're placing these units. AGL Frieza does carry a lot of the offensive workload. If you have two of them, you're going to be chunking through the event super quickly, but that's okay. If you have two of them, please use two of them. Don't use a gimped team just because I'm using a reduced team. Always use the best tools that you have at your disposal. You'll have a lot more fun, and of course you will be able to actually enjoy those units as well. There's no point having them if you're not going to take them into the content. So yeah, but as you can see, our damage is really, really solid. Frieza is starting to stack up to a decent point, which is helpful. He's firing off a couple more attacks, building that defense a little bit, and just kind of preventing himself from taking too much damage, which is really good. And for a 55% unit, operating under a not so full lead, really, really solid. Yeah, obviously we have the AGL Frieza up right now, so we're going to be able to chunk through Goku quite a bit. Maybe we should have given the tech Frieza a couple more attacks, but we do still have a lot of items in reserve, so not too complacent about how we're going to be going through things. As long as you have some items, you will be fine. The Gokus hit hard, but they don't hit too hard, if that if you know what I mean. They don't hit on the Gods of Destruction event scale or anything like that. So yeah, just still a very solid performance overall. And then yeah, we'll take a look at how we can go from there. But realistically, pretty happy with how things are going. Relatively quite happy with how the event's panning out. Obviously, we're now on to the final stage. Fortunately, we have Tech Freeze's final transformation as well, so that crit's really going to help us out. Then we also have a couple items left. We don't have a Whis, but we do have some Android 8s. So we'll pop those for some additional defense, and then we should be good to go. We will be in a spot of trouble if the Kid Buu takes a super attack. The Supreme Kai buff Buu takes a super attack, but he does have damage reduction, so he should be okay and not get us killed, basically, is what we can hope for. So, yeah. Just remember, with this event, it is best to take, of course, we get super attacked on that Kid Buu. Just remember, with these events, it's best to take extreme class teams. You will not be able to complete the event so quickly or well at all if you take superclass units. Remember, all of these units have damage reduction against superclass units, so just something you need to be aware of. But that being said, everything went relatively smoothly, not smoothie, although that would be great right now. And yeah, everything went more than fine. We've got the crit hit from Frieza here, which is great. We've got the AGL Frieza here as well. So realistically, this should be the turn where we do some big damage. We managed to heal up quite a bit as well. So it's just going to depend on how we go. You can see they're just trying to check all the damage that's being done, making sure that we have appropriate defense. Contemplating using another item, but gonna leave it. I think we should be fine. But you never know. But I think we avoided taking the super attack on Frieza anyway. But of course, the big damage comes from AGL Frieza. He's going to have those big time crits, and he's going to be able to shuck out some real damage. Remember, as long as you put him in the first slot and he gets attacked first, he will do an additional super, which is really going to help us out. But you can see Frieza really pushing out the damage. Goku in his Super Saiyan phase is a slightly bit less tanky than his previous phases, so it shouldn't be too much of an issue. With Tech Frieza also having a guaranteed critical, we should be able to wrap everything up. And that's really it. That is how to complete this was the Sworn Enemies Challenge on the latest Epic Collection of Battles event, and yeah, it should be a relatively easy finish. If you have the AGL LR Frieza, please use them. Otherwise, you can follow a similar team build like this. Just be careful with what tech unit you're using to replace the Supreme Kai Buu with, and everything should be fine. But as always, that's it from me, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time. But until then, stay safe, and bye!